Are you a fast-growing challenger consumer brand, wondering how can you compete with industry giants like Unilever and Procter and Gamble? In my agency, Flow Candy, we work with these challenger brands all the time, every day, helping them beat big industry giants, competitors in their category with email marketing. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how one of these companies, these fast-growing challenger brands, Salt and Stone, is beating what I would call a lapsed challenger brand, Native Deodorant, who is owned by Procter and Gamble. And in today's video, I'm going to give away everything, guys. I have the benchmarking, my benchmarking report. I'm going to show you why they're beating Native. I'm going to give away Native swipe files so you can look at all their emails. I'm going to give away Salt and Stone's swipe file. I have a full swipe file on them so you can look at their emails too. I'll link it in the description. But when you think about it, okay, a little bit of a backstory here. So why I find this interesting is because Native used to be like the ultimate challenger brand. All right. This was like one of the most successful challenger brand stories that I could think of in the last 5 or 10 years. It was founded by a guy named Moiz Ali, just an incredible entrepreneur. You can go look him up on Twitter. I think he's pretty active there. But I don't want to butcher it, but I think it's like something like he started this business and maybe he took like a couple $100,000 in angel funding, and he was able to use that get that all the way up to like $100 million exit for Native to Procter and Gamble. Just really dialed in ads. I remember looking at their email marketing strategy and like what they were doing back then. And it was just very, very elevated life cycle program. Now I think it's lapsed a little bit. I don't think Moiz is that involved anymore. I don't think he's involved in their email strategy either. And you can see like Salt and Stone now, who is a challenger brand in this category, personal grooming, personal care, deodorant. And now, because they're more founder-led, a little bit more scrappy, like you can see that they've surpassed them, I would say, when I benchmark both of these brands. Not that Native is necessarily doing a bad job. Actually, when you think about all the portfolio companies in Procter & Gamble, they're probably much more digitally enabled and doing a much better job than most of the portfolio companies. But you can still see founder-led, scrappy, challenger brands beating these industry giants, even industry giants that even like challenger brands that they've acquired, you can still see challenger brands beating them with life cycle all day, every day. So let's jump into why. So when you look at their traffic, it's very comparable. Actually, Salt and Stone is beating Native in traffic, which I found like interesting, given that Native is owned by Procter and Gamble, is has much better distribution. If you walk into any Target, wherever you shop, you're going to see Native Deodorant. I think Native Deodorant is ranked higher on Amazon too. So you would think it's like a much bigger brand than Salt and Stone at this point, but actually Salt and Stone is doing more traffic. Salt and Stone sends more emails per month. Not that necessarily makes them benchmarks them higher. It just shows that they can do just as good of a job in keeping up with the sort of cadence of sending these emails. They're promotional because I went through all of their emails in the swipe file and I rank which are promotional, which are not. Promotional would be something like if you pull up Native's emails, like this is a promotional email where they're saying 30% off, here's a discount code, buy one, get one free, Black Friday sale, stuff like that. Valentine's Day sale, that's promotional. So both of these have a pretty healthy promotional cadence. Like actually Native is like right where I would like to see most brands, like around 30%. And then Salt and Stone, which I think is a little bit more premium position, maybe even pushing up on luxury. They're way, way less, and around like 16%. And this is where they get points too. They use more angles. And so what I mean by angles, when I pull up the heat map, the angle heat map here, I have like 80 plus different angles that we track across a lot of different categories that brands are sending. I talked about one is promotional, but another one could be as seen in, we were seen in, People Magazine or Wall Street Journal. BOGOs, buy one, get one free, brand birthday, bundle and save, buy on Amazon, buy on TikTok, collaborations. These are really popular right now. Collection focus, where the whole email is about an entire collection. Like that would be this one as an example. Native deodorant got points for this. They just launched or didn't just launch, but in June of 2025, they launched a collection around piece of cake. So they got points for that. So that's what I mean by that. And when I go through both of these brands and scored them, Salt and Stone just had a little bit more of like just they were using a little bit more angles. So they're beating native on traffic, they're beating native on frequency, they're beating native on promotional balance, although that can be kind of subjective. Like if you're really trying to drive a lot of revenue and you don't care so much about retention, you could argue like, well, why don't we send like 80% of our emails as promotional? Their messaging breadth is better. Also, their tech stack is better. Not that Native's tech stack is bad necessarily. Native, I think, is using Attentive for SMS and Attentive for email. I think they're on Attentive's white glove service, which is where they kind of manage the channel for you, which makes sense. I see this happen sometimes. Like a lot of these challenger brands, when they get acquired, they'll start by these bigger companies. They'll start trying to cut costs, and they'll do stuff like this. They'll just outsource it to an agency, or they'll use something like a white glove service that is okay. It's okay. It's not great though. Where you probably have Salt and Stone, where it's much more founder led. Maybe they're using an agency. Maybe they're using, or maybe it's just in house, and it's just you can see there's just a little bit. I'll get through some examples here in a second. There's just a little bit more breadth to the strategy, and the tech stack is better too. They're using Klaviyo and Postscript, which I think are both superior tools than Attentive, in my opinion. Definitely Klaviyo with the segmentation versus Attentive and all the API connections you can do. I also think that Klaviyo's SMS product is better than Attentive. I know that's controversial, but in my experience, it makes sense to consolidate more on Klaviyo. But even if you're using SMS through Postscript, I do think that is a much I've just heard like a lot of better experiences from my clients using Postscript and Klaviyo for SMS versus like something like Attentive. But so they got more points on the tech stack, and that's why they're scored higher. It's close, but that's why they are scored higher. And so you see it all right here. They beat them on traffic. They beat them on email sends. They beat them on promotions. They beat Salt and Stone, beat them on angles. It's a tie on e-commerce platform because they're both on Shopify Plus, which I think is the best platform for really challenger brands or that want to be digitally enabled. And then I think it's coin toss, but I really prefer. Where I see my clients have success is using Klaviyo. So let's get into like just a little bit more depth on why I think Salt and Stone is just a little bit more calibrated in their email marketing. So I'll pull up January. So where I think they do well is, and this is why, like, even though Attentive's white glove service does this fine too, but if you're like an enterprise brand and you're on like, say, you're watching this and you're on like Adobe Campaign or Salesforce or something like that, or even SAP or Oracle, where it takes like, a month just to do one email or something like that, this is why it's so advantageous to be on like one of these platforms like a Klaviyo, maybe even an Attentive, because it's way easier to build these emails. Okay. And you don't need like a developer or a designer to do this. You can just drag and drop. You can get the photos. These product blocks are saved. So, Salt and Stone can literally build an email like this in 20 minutes, and it just makes it way more easier to just hit that cadence of sending 15 emails a month, 20 emails a month, 25 emails a month. I think in November, when I pull up their November, they ramped up to 29 emails a month. Okay. But you can see like this build a set, We have, text-based emails. We have social proof emails. They're getting points for that. We have I think we have a gift card email somewhere here. We obviously have the minis, is something like the travel sets, which I really like. Um, we have this sign up for SMS, which I think this is where it gets a little bit more advanced because, um, and where I think they have a pretty good retention department because what happens, why they're probably doing this is when you do cohort analysis um, with clients, you'll look at different cohorts, and by far, like if you have let's say you're looking at the cohort on how can I get more people to become first time customers, okay? Like prospects, people who've never bought to become first time customers. When you look at the cohort of people who have signed up for SMS and email, they're much more likely to become first time customers. Um, Same thing if sticking with this cohort analysis with subscribe and save, when you look at the cohorts, you do cohort analysis for different brands and you look at different segments, you'll notice that the cohort where someone got on a subscription, all right, at any time, even if they're churned, um, that cohort has a much higher lifetime value than a cohort that was never on a subscription. So um, that's why I think they're doing this. And when they do subscribe and save emails, Salt and Stone, it's a little bit more elevated. They are a little bit more premium position. I would argue that Native and Salt and Stone are both premium position to some extent because when you walk into Target, you're not paying $2 for the $3, $4 for these deodorants. I think Native is like 10, 11, 12, and Salt and Stone is like $20. So I mean, they're both like more on the premium side, but I think Salt and Stone is really pushing into that luxury. And so they don't want to just like blast discount codes. It's like, hey, get 25% off. It's like a limited get 25% off. They probably have it set up where when they go to the card, it automatically takes it off so that you're not doing a discount code, which might cheapen the brand. Versus like Native, like when they do something like this, you can see 30% off your first subscription. And then they have this code. And this might be like an A/B test they're doing, but it's still like a pretty good email. Like when you think about it, they got points for subscribe and save here. Both of them are doing this. I think when I pull up the heat map, um, yeah, both have this sort of subscribe and save. They got points for that messaging angle. Which, if you're building a consumable brand that sells subscriptions, you definitely want to add this sort of angle into your sort of mix of email marketing messages that you're sending. When I pull up Natives, though, it's not like they're necessarily bad either. They're doing social proof emails too. Like this email they sent here is a social proof email. Okay, this one right here. And my gut is, if again, I don't have access to their segmentation, but if they were really dialed in here, what they would probably be doing is they would be sending this to a segment of people where it's like they have either bought a deodorant but have never bought the deodorant or body spray, or they have bought like another product and have never bought the deodorant spray, or maybe they viewed the deodorant and body spray but never bought. So it's like a social proof email, or it's a cross sell email to a segment of people that could be, or a cohort of people that could be much more likely to buy the deodorant and body spray. And I love how they took this social proof email and they calibrated it to that whole collection. It's like, has the body spray here, all the reviews here of the body spray. It has a girl at the top holding the body spray. So I don't want to like knock Native. Like they're doing a lot of good things. I talked about text-based emails too. I think I got them doing one of these as well somewhere in October, I think. Where that? I know it's somewhere here. Yeah, here we go, July. So when you pull up their July calendar, they're doing text-based emails too. Um, so I mean, and they probably got points here for like a social, follow us on social media, follow us on Instagram. So, and they got points for a brand B day here. This is like a great angle that you could use. Actually, that's one thing that I don't think Salt and Stone got points for. So it's not like they're not doing bad things, and they're doing some things that Salt and Stone is doing, but they are sending more promotional emails. As you can see, they got more. There's more when you look at the balance of promotional emails. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, um, 6 promotional emails in the month of June, where they probably sent like 15 or 20 emails. And you pull up Salt and Stone, you go pull up their June. I can pull that up. This is their 2025 June sends. You'll see that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 emails in June. I don't like when I'm just looking at this, I don't see a single promotional email. Now I might have to zoom in and read the fine print, which I do. Um, so here's one. I would actually score this as a promotional email. 15% off when you build a set, but it's a very light promotion. It's not like here's a 15% off discount code. It's like you have to build a set. It's like kind of very subtly layered in there, and so it's just a little bit more premium positioned. But yeah, I mean, they get points for, here when you look at it, they get points for, you know, doing like new and selling fast. Um, this is a social proof, often sold out. Like I love how they use scarcity too. It's a little bit more because scarcity is tricky. What I mean by scarcity is like the obvious scarcity is like putting up a countdown timer and be like, this discount code ends in 25 days or 25 minutes or something like that. And, um, you know, premium brands don't want to do that. They want to be very careful with this. And this is like a very subtle way. They're much more subtle. They're just a little bit more elevated in how they do promotions, how they bake in scarcity or urgency, where it's like often sold out, which is true. Like this, I've tried to buy this before and it's been sold out. But it's sort of like instead of saying like, hey, our Santal and Vevator deodorant is, um, you know, uh, selling fast, it's like often sold out. It's just a little bit, which if you're like, again, luxury, like that's a great way to lean into urgency and scarcity. I think they got some more social proof, more sort of social proof points. But another thing that they really did well that I really like to see that I don't think I gave points for native deodorant, which I do think they should be doing, is routine. Okay. Which I think anybody in sort of the agents or the personal care niche should be doing. So let me see if I can find it. There is a routine email here in January. Finding them is hard sometimes. maybe it's February. Anyway, there somewhere they have routine emails where it's like building a routine. Um, because what that does is you have to understand that like a lot of when I talk to some of my clients, um, a lot of them say like the number one reason why we have our customers churn, whether it's they stop their subscription or whether they become just lapsed and they're just not buying one-off products anymore, um, is normally a lack of consumption. Like these brands are no longer, or their customers are no longer consuming the product, and therefore they don't replenish, whether that's on a subscription or whether that's just through one off or buying a bundle or a pack or something like that. And so, what you want to do, especially for people that subscribe, like really well thought out CRM and lifecycle programs, will find cohorts of people, like high value cohorts, like people that are on a subscription, people that have bought more than once or twice, people that have bought like higher average order values and stuff like that. And they will send them more nurturing emails around encouraging consumption and replenishment. Okay. Building a routine is a great angle. So I wish I could find that. I don't know where it is, um, but that's like a really great way to do it. Also, I think they got points for, is it early access here? Mini big update. Yeah. So this is a great one. Like when they do a product launch for their minis, these travel sets that they do, they sign up for early access. So it's sort of like building up like a hype list and stuff like that. Um, I already talked about the fast selling, often sold out. Um, in March, they, new and fast selling, um, often sold out. Here's the ritual email I was talking about. Yeah. Okay. Again, sort of using that ritual routine type copy. So getting points for that. April, let's see, what do they do? Well, in April, we have a retail focused email and a back in stock email. So as you can see in April, here's back in stock. This is great if you are actually a luxury brand or a premium brand that actually runs out of stock. You can send emails, hey, we have it back in stock. There's also a back in stock flow automation you can build. This is a retail partner email. So it's like partnering with Sephora. So you can see like they're getting a lot of points. They're getting just a little bit more different points. And when you pull up and when you go down the list, best sellers this month, they do that. They're getting points for, early access. I talked about that. They're getting points. There's a gift card email Salt and Stone did. There's limited editions, mystery gifts. They do this during Black Friday. Routine building, retail partners, referrals. I'm surprised there wasn't more retail partner emails when I went through Native's list, just because Native has such amazing retail distribution. Um, in Target, I mean, everywhere I go now. I live in Atlanta, so it's like Target and Publix and Kroger, like these big stores. Like I think Native is in all of them, and maybe it's just Procter and Gamble. They take it for granted. It's like we have that shelf space, um, but yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they weren't doing that. Just given like really leaning into that, giving like they have such more better distribution than Salt and Stone. But again, like I said, it's not like they're doing bad. Like they're doing, I've already talked about some social proof emails they've done where they put reviews, but then they go deeper. Like they do this, like this is more of a text-based email around getting a review for Cosmopolitan, and they're tapping into their audience, trying to get them to vote. They're not just they're doing different types of promotions, like buy three, get one free. It's not just like some discount code. They're doing collection based emails on certain things. They're doing loyalty. They're banking loyalty into the email lifecycle program. They're mixing in like different holidays, like Mother's Day. They're doing I don't know. Is Pampers owned by Procter and Gamble? Let me see. Who owns Pampers? Okay, it's owned by Procter and Gamble. So they're doing joint ventures with other portfolio companies, which I think is great. Like that, this is definitely like probably one of the more well managed life cycle programs. Like I said, in the portfolio company of, or in all the portfolio of Procter and Gamble, if I had to guess, and I would imagine they're taking a lot of the learnings on native and hopefully applying that to some of the more legacy brands they have in their portfolio. Um, but you can see it's not like they're doing bad. It's just I do think Salt and Stone, when I benchmark it all together and I score it all up, they're beating them. And I just wanted to share this with you guys. For those of you, I know I talked to some of you that feel like it's hard to compete with these bigger brands that are owned by Procter Gamble or Unilever. And I just want to give you some hope because here's the challenger brand of all challenger brands, one of the most successful challenger brands, certainly in the last decade, Native Deodorant, who was acquired by Procter and Gamble, and you can see how a challenger brand like Salt and Stone is sort of still beating them. So thanks again for watching this. Again, I'll link all of this in the description, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.